the myth of magic, and the cowardice of comparison. Why Andrea Iannone, talking about Marc Marquez, exposes everything he ran from, the man who couldn't touch him. Andrea Iannone wants to talk about magic now. Magic. After a career spent staring at Marc Marquez's rear tire, breathing brake dust, and realizing something deeply uncomfortable, that no matter how late he braked, no matter how aggressive he rode, no matter how hard he tried to intimidate, he could not touch Marc Marquez on track, not in Moto2, not in MotoGP, not in raw speed, not in combat, not in consequence. So he waits. He waits for retirement, for injuries, for time, for nostalgia to do the fighting he never could. And then he speaks. Not about lap times, not about titles, not about numbers, but about feelings, magic, charisma, attitude, the vocabulary of riders who ran out of arguments years ago. Side by side in Moto2, eyes open, let's rewind, since Iannone pretends history started yesterday. Moto2, same paddock, same machinery philosophy, same circuits. Iannone didn't hear about Marc Marquez through highlight reels. He didn't study him from television. He fought him side by side. He saw the breaking points. He saw the corner entries. He saw the way Marc could take risks others theorized about but never executed. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Marc Marquez did things Iannone believed were impossible, then made them repeatable. That's the part riders like Iannone never forgive, because once impossibility becomes routine, excuses evaporate. When you can't match speed, attack character, notice how criticism always evolves the same way. First phase, he's fast, but reckless. Second phase, he wins, but it's dangerous. Third phase, he's a champion, but that but is where careers go to die. Iannone says Marc had a habit of getting alongside riders and knocking them out. Translation, Marc entered spaces others didn't have the courage or control to defend. Marc doesn't collide by accident. He forces you into choices. Defend, you lose time. Yield, you lose position. Overreact, you crash. That's not unethical. That's elite racecraft. Schwantz did it. Duhan did it. Rossi did it. But when Marc does it, suddenly it's immoral. Funny how morality appears right where the results disappear. The crutch that never breaks. Every Marc Marquez critic eventually crawls back to 2015. Not because it defines Marc, because it defines them. 2015 is not a season anymore. It's a shelter, a place to hide from the years that followed. Because here's the part nobody likes to say out loud. After 2015, Marc didn't collapse. He dominated. He won titles without Honda being perfect. He won titles without political allies. He won titles while being publicly vilified. And when his body finally broke, he didn't fade into nostalgia tours and farewell seasons. He rebuilt himself out of titanium, nerve damage, and pain tolerance most riders will never experience. And then he came back, still winning. That's what really hurts. The media alliance, when Italy closed ranks. Let's not pretend this conversation exists in a vacuum. Iannone is Italian, Rossi is Italian. The media ecosystem that raised them is Italian. After 2015, Italy chose a side. Not the sports side, not neutrality, not complexity. They chose Valentino Rossi as victim. Marc became the villain because villains make better bedtime stories. And Marc did the unforgivable thing. He did not apologize his way into acceptance. He didn't tour podcasts. He didn't soften his edges. He didn't beg for narrative mercy. He won. Again and again and again. That silence, that refusal to perform remorse, that's what they call lacking magic. What magic really means when Andrea Iannone says magic, he doesn't mean racing. He means comfort. Rossi's magic was storytelling. Rossi's magic was misdirection. Rossi's magic was keeping everyone busy while he controlled the room. Marc doesn't do that. Marc is transparent. You see the intent. You see the aggression. You see the hunger. There is no theater. That honesty terrifies people who survive on performance. Marc doesn't sell you an image. He sells you a lap time. The Italian wound, when Ducati became his weapon. Now let's talk about the real injury. Marc Marquez winning with Ducati, the bike Italy believed belonged to them, the machine that was supposed to crown their heroes. And then Marc arrived. No politics, no legacy leverage, no cultural insulation, and immediately turned Ducati into a weapon of domination. That hurts more than any 2015 incident ever could. Because this time, there is no Honda excuse, no special treatment narrative, no development favoritism myth, same red bike, different outcome. Iannone's career versus Marc's legacy. Andrea Iannone won MotoGP race. 1. Marc Marquez won world championships with broken arms, compromised bikes, and grids actively trying to stop him. Iannone disappeared from MotoGP not because of bad luck, because the sport moved forward without him. Marc became the reference point, Iannone became a memory, and now a quote. The comeback fallacy. He got injured. Notice the phrasing. He's a great champion. He got injured, and he's done everything possible to come back. As if injury is a footnote, as if recovery is a side quest. Marc Marquez didn't come back. He reinvented what longevity means in MotoGP. He changed riding style. He changed risk calculus. He changed how champions age. That's not resilience, that's evolution. Something riders stuck in the past will never forgive. Why this interview exists at all. Here's the ugly truth. Andrea Iannone is not being asked about Marc Marquez by accident. Mention Marc, you get clicks. Say Rossi, you get engagement. Say 2015, you get attention. This is not analysis. This is relevance extraction. A former rival orbiting a son he never became. And the saddest part, Marc doesn't need to respond. He never does. The final insult, not my favorite. This is the weakest sentence in the entire interview. Not my favorite. Nobody asked. History doesn't care. Championships are not awarded by preference. Magic does not survive data. And MotoGP is not a popularity contest anymore. It's a pressure cooker. Marc survives where others fracture. Anatomy of envy, let's call it what it is. Marc is not Italian. Marc didn't grow up inside the Rossi myth. Marc didn't ask permission. He walked into the sport, broke its hierarchy, refused its nostalgia, and kept winning while being disliked. That's not lacking magic. That's having power without approval. The transparency problem, Rossi smiled while he destabilized you. Marc stares through you while he does it. That difference confuses people, because charm is easier to forgive than dominance. Marc doesn't nag. He doesn't lobby. He doesn't whisper. He rides. And when he beats you, you know exactly why. Why this disrespect matters. Nobody is asking Andrea Iannone to praise Marc Marquez. Nobody expects that. But there is a line between opinion and disrespect through minimization. Calling a 7-time world champion lacking magic is not insight. It's bitterness dressed as taste. And the sport deserves better than recycled grudges. The difference history remembers: Valentino Rossi was magic. Marc Marquez is inevitability. Magic fades. Inevitability reshapes eras. Rossi filled grandstands. Marc empties excuses. Rossi controlled narratives. Marc breaks systems. And when MotoGP is remembered not as a circus, but as a ruthless sport of precision and consequence, one truth will remain. Marc Marquez did not lack magic. He simply refused to perform it for people who couldn't keep up. Andrea Iannone didn't lose to Marc Marquez on track. He lost to him in relevance. And interviews like this are just the echo. This isn't about defending Marc. He doesn't need it. This is about reminding people that speed ends arguments, and Marc Marquez has been ending them for over a decade.